We were swarmed with zombies. The van was attracting them towards us like moths to a flame. It seemed like a sure death for all of us, especially now that the driver was also dead, leaving the van stranded. We had almost given up all hope when I spotted something that gave me pause and renewed hope. There, beyond the walking dead bodies surrounding us, I could see a hill. And on that hill was a condo, sitting like a safe haven at the moment. I knew that if we could get there somehow, we would definitely be safer. At least, safer than being trapped in a vehicle, about to turn into zombie food, or worse, zombies.
Everyone get ready, because we're better off making our way to that condo over the hill than to be stuck in this death trap.
I shouted at everyone, effectively stopping their panic for just a moment. Everyone turned to look at me, and then at the condo I was pointing to. I could see disbelief in their eyes. Rightfully so. We were in the midst of a zombie attack, and we would have to pass through them before we could reach the condo. It seemed impossible. But we would have to make it possible somehow, if we wanted to live. The small guy in the front seat, Tony, scratched the side of his head using the gun in his hand, looking deeply unsure.
There's too many of them. We won't be able to make it there fast enough.
He voiced his doubts, and I could see others nodding their heads along. I had to nip this doubt in the bud.
Listen, we surely won't make it if we keep sitting here in this forsaken van. So I say, let's take a chance anyway. At least, even if we die, we would die trying.
There were murmurs of assent at that, and soon enough, everyone was ready to give it a go. I stared out the van window just in time to see a large group of zombies working their way through the woods, right towards our van.
Look, guys, there's more of them coming towards us.
I brought the incoming group to everyone's attention.
We need to move now, before they can come up on us too.
Now it was time to start figuring out a way to get to safety. Within moments, we had come up with a plan of sorts. We were going to target just one side of the van, shooting the zombies there and clearing a way for all of us to jump out and sprint towards the hill. The big man, Jesse, grabbed the guns from the back of the van and got ready to take shots.
"Don't you guys freak out on me now when we step out of this van!"
He shouted at everyone and opened fire. Everyone who had the guns followed suit and fired at the zombies as the zombies started attacking the van. We did not have much time to wait before clearing out all the creatures surrounding us. That would have been impossible to do. There were so many coming towards us from every side, specifically being attracted to us because of the loud gunshots. We only had a narrow window of time to get out safely. With that thought in mind, people started getting out the door after eliminating the nearest predators. It did not go as well as we had hoped. Most of them were not very lucky. They didn't even get the chance to fully make it out of the van. They were instantly taken by the walking dead bodies surrounding us. There were only so many zombies that we could kill at a time. We didn't have that much ammunition. But the good thing was, it did give a fighting chance to the others, the ones who were getting out of the van behind them. The zombies who weren't killed by the guns were busying themselves with the incoming human food, leaving the rest of us behind them to run to safety. I looked out of the van window, watching the whole massacre with bated breath, a sight of blood and flesh I'd never wished to see, as I waited for my turn to get out. As soon as the moment came, I jumped out of the van and took to the hills, sprinting with all my might. We were leading the way through the army of zombies dropping down in front of us, left and right, as the ones amongst us with the guns kept the fire open on the large group of zombies coming towards us. Soon, we had cleared a path ahead of us, but the ones coming from behind were still rampant. We could not even kill them effectively, running ahead and shooting behind us while doing so, and that too on point was not something easy to accomplish. None of us were experienced shooters to begin with, so instead of continuing to shoot them, we instead focused on running ahead and leaving them behind. That had worked initially, but we didn't know for how long it would last. They were catching up to us so quickly. As we started to get closer to the condo we spotted from the van, we came to realize that it was not just one condo standing alone on the hill. It was more than one. It looked to be a community of condos. This could be the ideal place for shelter. All of us subconsciously picked up more speed after realizing that fact, as if we wanted to reach the safety as soon as humanly possible. The zombies behind us seemed to have a similar idea. Not the safety one, but the speeding up part. I guess they sensed us getting away, so they began to rush too. Soon they were almost upon us, swarming around us once again. One of them outstretched a hand towards me, almost upon me, reaching to grip his claws into my flesh. I had almost said my last prayers when the dead, decaying hand was just about to grab my shoulder. Instead, it never came. What came, however, were the sounds of renewed gunfire, this time coming from in front of us. Zombies around us started dropping like flies left and right. That's when Tony looked towards the rooftops of the condos.
Look! They must be snipers!
He shouted, sounding as excited as relieved and hopeful. Suddenly, a new hope was ignited in all of us when we saw the sight he was pointing towards. There were people standing on the rooftop of some of the condos, decidedly human and very clearly armed. As we grew closer, it was clear that those were some heavily armed soldiers, and by the looks of it, there weren't just one or two of them severely outnumbered like we were. There were at least a dozen. They kept shooting over our heads at the zombies, protecting us from far away. When we got closer to the condos, some of them stepped out from there, shooting behind us and clearing our way. One of the soldiers guided us to the side door of the unit as the other soldiers banded together, clearing out the side of the hill from all the zombies that had followed us here. As soon as we had gotten inside the building, there was another drastic change waiting for us. I don't know what exactly I was hoping for once I had gotten inside. Maybe a sense of safety, relief, gratitude, or something. None of that came, however. What came next was the nozzles of guns pointing straight at us and some barked commands. The soldiers did not even spare us a single moment, did not even let us catch our breaths, and were upon us. They pushed us up against a wall with their guns aimed, and we shuffled in, confused at the sudden turn of events.
I'm not taking any chances with you goons,
Shouted one of them.
Strip down now and show me your hands.
He insisted. Bewildered, we hurried to comply. One of the soldiers walked over to us and started checking us up and down thoroughly for any bites or cuts. The member of their squad that was checking us gave the man who was ordering us, their captain, I assumed, a thumbs up. Everyone lowered their weapons at that. We could see everyone letting out a breath, including me. And I did not even notice before that all of us were going through the whole process with bated breaths.
Sorry, fellas,
said the one in charge, and actually sounding apologetic.
I can't afford to take any risks when I'm responsible for the well-being of over 140 people in this facility.
The captain kicked our clothes over to us as he walked out of the unit, presumably to take care of something important. Most of the other soldiers quickly followed him out too. Sorry for all this, guys, but you gotta understand the captain, started the one that stayed behind to help us. We just lost 4 civilians when we brought in 5 locals after rescuing them. He continued on, and suddenly their actions made much more sense. They were on a rescue mission, and they had to do whatever it took to protect their people. The time is different for everyone's turning. Some turn instantly, while it can actually last hours for others before turning into one of them. That's why we employed this policy. If anyone is infected, we finish them off before they can cause damage to others, he further explained when he received some confused and questioning looks from some of us. Oh, he suddenly exclaimed, as if just remembering something. Sorry, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Danny, he said, giving us a blinding smile. We were in the middle of our introductions when the captain walked in the room once again. He shook all of our hands as he thoroughly apologized again for earlier. We were then told about how things had gone to hell a few days ago as word of the fallout made its way to the local base. They were sent out for a rescue mission, not knowing the full magnitude of the outbreak.
You fellas can call me Cap,
he implored us, before delving into all the details of the situation at our insistence.
We got news that led us to believe this outbreak happened in the inner city, so we've been avoiding the city since then. We evacuated and rescued as many people as possible and decided to take refuge in these strongly built military condos. Gives us a nice view of our surroundings from the rooftop, and it's close to the sea. With one side protected from attacks, it means we only have to focus on the other sides.
Do you guys want to see everything from the rooftop? Asked Danny. Intrigued, we hurriedly replied in affirmative. He stepped out and took us to the rooftop where the soldiers were already stationed at their positions, looking out into the tree line. Danny handed me the binoculars and pointed out to where they were staring. Every so often, we get attacked from there. There's a group of zombies hidden there that constantly keeps working on finding our weak spots, and they attack us as soon as they get the chance and then retreat. It's almost like someone's leading them to find a way to bring us outside our safe zone. As if sensing that we were discussing him, a large zombie stepped out from the thick woodline and stared up at us, pointing at us with an evil grin on his face, as if taunting us, mocking us. One of the snipers aimed a few shots at him, striking him straight in the head. The zombie fell back as the hits landed but did not go down. He straightened himself after a moment as we all looked at him in shock. "Yeah," said Danny, noticing our shocked faces. "He's the leader of the lot, and he's not easy to kill. Believe me, we've certainly tried enough, but we're working on a proper plan to take him down, so hopefully it won't go on for too much longer." As we were discussing that zombie leader situation and how to get rid of it, the captain also joined us on the rooftop, unfortunately with bad news. He explained to us that his soldiers were running low on ammo, and they needed to get their hands on some new stock. They would not be able to go on much longer, especially if another huge attack came. They might not be able to effectively protect the establishment or the people within. Upon asking what measures were taken to rectify the situation, the captain informed us that they had an old armor bank truck inside the garage, and making use of that, the soldiers were to go out and try looking for new weaponry. After that, that's where the whole attention was diverted. After much discussion and planning, it was decided that Jesse, Tony, and myself would join a few of the soldiers for the mission to the city to look for more weapons. Soldiers, for obvious reasons, and us because we had a better understanding of the zombies after encountering them so closely. We were also the ones who had closely seen the city after the whole apocalyptic situation. We knew what places to avoid and what routes to take. Honestly, it was as good a plan as we could get when the world was at its end. We went downstairs as the night had started to fall. There we met more people that had been rescued, and also a few that had come seeking refuge, having gone through their own personal tragedies. Everyone there had lost something or someone important, so talking to them and hearing their stories was a cathartic experience for all of us. After dinner, the men soon to be sent on the mission were all gathered together. The captain walked over to us with a map in his hand, and Danny cleared off the table for the captain. He laid out the map on the table in front of us and got to business.
"We have reports of a gun shop just outside the city premises, and this is the map that will lead you to it,"
he told us, explaining the directions and the instructions in detail. After going through the whole plan one more time, we were shown to our rooms and all of us retired for the night. It was one of the most restless nights of my life. I could not sleep at all and spent the whole time tossing and turning, anticipating and worrying about the next morning. And the next morning was soon upon us. We had decided to leave really early in the morning so as to get some coverage of the darkness, especially from the zombie group that was almost always watching us, hiding in the woods. We were taking the biggest truck that we had available for our trip. We wanted to get as much ammo as we possibly could. All of us jumped into the truck as 4 soldiers, heavily armed, jumped into the back, not speaking to anyone, just ready to take action at any moment. We set out for the city at daybreak. We had around an hour and a half of the drive before we could reach the gun shop. Our initial journey stayed relatively peaceful and clear of the rampaging dead walkers. The trouble started after half an hour into the trip. At first, there were just some zombies popping up here and there. We easily got rid of them, some by running over them with the truck, and some were gone by the hands of the soldiers. Gradually, they started increasing in number. First, there had been just a couple. Now there were a dozen. Still relatively easy, but as the time went on, they kept on multiplying from all sides. By the time an hour had gone by, there were hundreds of them following us, and they were only increasing exponentially. The noise the truck was making, accompanied with the gunshots, was a dead giveaway of our position, and we couldn't even get rid of all of them, considering we didn't have enough ammo. Soon enough, we had reached the gun shop. We decided to do a little detour to ditch the zombies, and after some sharp turns, we parked the truck after losing the zombies that were following us. We jumped out and ran straight to the shop. Fortunately, it was unlocked. Most of the store was covered with pictures of 50s pop stars and Elvis posters. Some people had already been inside, as shown by the condition the store was in, but still, we had enough ammunition to take with us. We got around to collecting all the weapons we could. We were so busy we actually forgot about our surroundings. Our attention was grabbed by Tony as he told us to look outside. There were hundreds and hundreds of zombies heading towards the shop. A soldier lunged to lock the shop door, but we knew it was of no use. We were trapped inside the gun store, and there was no way for us to reach the truck, not with half the city of zombies just outside, waiting for us like hungry animals, and especially not because we had to get as much ammo as we could, and that would not be feasible if we had to fight the zombies while doing so. Running around with heavy weapons was bound to slow us down. We could not just leave the place without a full-blown fight now. Tony jumped on top of the table, yelling,
This is our last chance against these zombies, guys! And I'm not about to die cramped up in no store!
It was an obvious attempt to lighten the mood and increase our spirits. It worked, nonetheless. Jesse grabbed his arm and pulled him off the table as other soldiers laughed at their antics.
Set your butt down somewhere, you roach! You're messing with my groove,
he said, pushing him away. I walked to the back of the store and saw a vault door. Upon opening it, we found more guns stashed away. We all got ourselves equipped with weapons and got ready for the fight of our lives. The fight for our lives. The zombies had fully made their way over and had broken through the windows of the store. The soldiers made their last stand, fighting off the zombies. Jesse turned on the radio, and we could hear the 50s pop music playing in the background as the zombies closed in on us. The gunfire would be heard from miles away.